Let me tell you, there are two main reasons we are getting less and less water rides. The biggest problem we have here in the UK. It is hot here in the UK at the moment. It may not be record-breaking temperatures as some people like to say, but extreme weather warnings of 37 plus degrees is nothing to be kind of, dismissive of by any means. And we decided to spend the two hottest days of the year so far out of the theme parks. Of course, we went to Chessington World of Adventures. It was 37 degrees it got to, it was hot. And then of course we went to Paultons Park, the local park, and it reached 36 degrees down there. Now I'm reading online and I'm seeing various things about everyone going, where are the water rides? Where are the water rides? Where are the water rides? And it's an argument that we thought we'd weigh in on, because why not? To be honest with you, why not? Let me tell you, there are two main reasons we are getting less and less water rides in the UK. Just two. Most of you will know what they are in honesty, but two main reasons. Let's have a look first at some of the ones we've lost. Start recently with Rumba Rapids. Rumba Rapids has left Thorpe Park. Rapids ride over at the back, it's gone. Same park, we can look at Loggers Leap as well. That obviously left, replaced by Hyperia. Replacement in honesty is absolutely irrelevant. We lost Loggers Leap. We have then lost Viking River Splash at Legoland fairly recently as well. And actually that was quite a new ride experience. And then of course, same for Alton Towers, doesn't matter what it replaced, we lost the Flume. Three of those hold exactly the same kind of reasoning behind it, to be honest, which of course is the water. The water is one of the main reasons we lost these rides. Now, when it comes to Viking River Splash, quite honestly, it was a poor choice ride for a poor choice park. It just didn't belong at Legoland Windsor. That's the reason behind it. The ones they've had at other parks were far more adventurous, far more thrilling, and they just didn't have the facility to do it at Windsor, which is one of the reasons why it's gone. Obviously, the incident in the UK has not helped Rapids rides. It's not helped the need to staff them so much. However, these don't really affect the log flumes, to be honest with you. None of the log flumes that are open, when you look at Tiger Rock, for instance, need staff all the way round. But it's to do with cost is one of the key reasons. So reason number one, cost to build these. Of course, back in the day when you think of Loggers Leap and you think of Rumba Rapids and you think of the log flume at Alton Towers, whatever it was called in the end, the flume, they are all using lake water. So you've got kind of the trough there and you can dip in and out and you can fill the water from the local lake, which quite frankly, when you say it out loud, is disgusting, to be fair. It sounds disgusting and it is disgusting. You can no longer do that. So for rides that are already utilizing this, they can stay as is. But if you're building a new ride, you need to have a fresh water source, which brings us to the big problem. We're quite lucky to have Tiger Rock and indeed the log flume at Legoland because they were built in an area with no water. So they're actually all completely self-contained. In fact, Tiger Rock, one of the cleanest log flumes you will go on. And it's really benefited from that as time's gone on, and it's been worth the investment in which it's been having. Keep saying people, that it's going to be removed. They've just spent thousands upon tens of thousands on a new control system. They've completely redone a lot of the trough, all the brakes, all the anti-rollbacks, everything about it has been upgraded. That is not going anywhere anytime soon. It might get rethemed, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that's really highlighted by the fact that it's got everything it needs to be a water ride. They can implement an 18 plus on it on school days, which they do. And of course, it's good to go. There's no extra staff required around the ride. Sure, you'll have batchers in the station. They do have someone watching the cameras as well as the ride is open. But there's not like the Rapids where you had loads of people around. And let's just say the Rapids, it wasn't needed, it wasn't law to have that. It was to safeguard the parks in doing so. So this brings us to the rides that are open then. And there's a reason why I don't ride a lot of these. Now, when it comes to the Rapids at Alton Towers, I do ride it because you don't get wet, really. You might get a little bit of a splash. But when you look at some of the bigger, more known attractions, in particular like Storm Force 10, I don't ride it. I find the notion of getting absolutely drenched with that lake water just not pleasant at all. Just not pleasant at all. And this is the problem the parks have had when they needed to upgrade or when they needed to do significant changes, particularly to the flume and Loggers Leap. The law has kind of stepped in and gone, you know, when you're changing so much, or if you want to retrack the whole thing, or you need to change everything, you are going to need to be compliant with it, which is part of the reason why we lost them. Which then brings us to the cost of build. Now, we are quite lucky next year. We are getting the UK's first water coaster at Paultons Park, but obviously to have a self-contained ride, water in particular, you need concrete. You'll have seen this from Viking River Splash coming out. If you followed the channel, the sheer amount of concrete that was required is mad. It really is. And again, you can see it on Tiger Rock as well. It's all man-made. It's concrete, concrete, concrete. And concrete is very expensive. Those expecting Paultons Park to completely cover that area of water have no grasp on the cost of doing so. And we're lucky to be getting it. But of course, what Paultons will spend on concrete, they won't spend on extra staff around the ride. They won't spend on so many pumps, because rides like that need pumps, particularly on, you know, rapids and log flumes and things like that. So it's a very smart choice, and that's the kind of thing I would like to see parks like Alton Towers, Thorpe Park develop in the future. That is reason number one. And reason number two links straight into the fact that it costs a lot to maintain it and keep it running as well. You could make the argument that it's not hot enough over here for water rides. I don't like that argument, to be honest with you. I think once it gets to sort of 19, 20 degrees, a reasonable splash of water is not uncomfortable, to be fair. Especially on, you know, Rumba Rapids and things like that. Do the general public ride it? No, I'd argue. At Alton Towers, I'd say they do. Rumba Rapids, I'd say they didn't. And even at Loggers Leap as well, I would say the location of it, no, they did not. Where again, we kind of then have to have extra staff if you have rapids open. We still have a couple of rapids open, of course, in Drayton Manor and Alton Towers, and both of them have extra staff around the ride. The cost of building the ride is the main reason we're not getting them anymore, because of the clean water needed. Number two is the cost to run them with staff and to keep it running clean. Quite frankly, keep it clean. Now, I know what people are saying. We do have some good water rides in the UK. Do we have enough? People want swing boats, Mac things and what have you. Great. I'm sure one day we will get them. I really am sure we will get them. I think at the moment we're all stuck in a bit of a lull as to what to do, and I'm not sure which park is going to take the plunge, but someone will after Paultons. Someone will take that plunge. But we have rides in the UK, and a lot of people say they're low capacity rides. The bigger problem is operations. The bigger problem is not the ride itself. We talk about Valhalla, for instance, open for about an hour a day, if you're lucky, constantly breaking down, hardly any boats, slow moving queues. You know, it's not the ride, it's the operations that are doing that. And that's the same with most of the rides when you look at them. In fact, again, I go as far as saying that Tiger Rock in particular and the log flume at Legoland actually do quite a good job. There's 20 to 30 boats on each continuously going around, and you can get a good mix of it. So then people go, well, what do you want from a water ride? Because I see people go, well, I want to be able to control, you know, the splash so you could use it during the winter. Sometimes it's easier said than done. The water is the brake. So you can't really control the splash. That's just is what it is. Some rides you can, obviously. Some rides you get wetter on than others, which we fully understand. But you kind of have to take the rough with the smooth, and indeed the parks do as well when they are designing and thinking about building these. And I have no doubt that you know, the Mac ones generally good splash, not too soaking, not too dry. Perfect, in honesty, absolutely perfect. The log flumes work exactly the same. It's funny because Alton Towers log flume actually was an absolute soaker, but generally the log flumes aren't particularly soakers. Legoland's got a little bit to it. There are a couple of drops on more of the traveling ones that might be a bit hit and miss, but generally they're not soakers. Really, the only soaker rides we've got, soaker rides, if you were talking about splashes, is whatever they've called the one at Flamingo Land, which I'm guessing will still be a soaker, Tidal Wave, Stormforce 10, Valhalla. Now you could throw the splash battles in there as well. You could throw the SpongeBob in there, and you can throw barrel bailout in there, but generally we don't have soakers. And do we really want them? Like, do we really want them for just a day like this? At Paulson's Park, I was able to ride the Splash Lagoon. Got soaked, it was quite a soaker, and honest with you. And then at Chessington, you were able to get wet, maybe on rides that you wouldn't normally get wet. Now, I can't condone this, but going around on Gruffalo and not exiting the boat, but just leaning your head back very slightly through the fountains, absolutely soaked. Soaked. Felt amazing coming out, really did. 10 minutes later, bone dry. That's it. 10 minutes later, bone dry. Let me tell you now the biggest problem we have here in the UK. It's not the water rides, it's the rest of the park. It's the shade. It's the lack of air conditioning. It's the lack of coolness around the park. And this is nearly every single theme park, to be fair. Maybe not all of them. In fact, Paulson's are getting slightly better at this because their big restaurants are fully air conditioned, which, you know, pizza and pasta isn't, for instance, at the other Merlin parks. Their shops are air conditioned, which again, Chessington's aren't all. Sweet Shop are, for instance, and the new Paw Patrol one is. Alton Towers is a bit few and far between as well. I mean, you know, Tower Street is completely open, so even if it is aircon, it's not particularly great. The problem with the UK is very much we don't prepare ourselves for hot weather. And we might get hot weather. Some people say it comes and goes straight away, but most people will have shorts on at 20, 21 degrees. And of course, when you go to America, which is what a lot of people compare it to, you'll be in and out of shops continuously with air conditioning. You'll be in and out of queue lines which have got shade. There is absolutely no reason why parks can't install fans with sprays. They might not need to use them all the time, but this would have been perfect for Launchpad at Fort Park, which doesn't have a lot of shade. Put a few fans down there with misters on. Everyone would be commending how great that idea was. The biggest problem is not the water rides in the UK. The biggest problem is the infrastructure around it. It's getting better in some places, but it's not getting better in all. The parks need to have more shade. The shade then doubles up generally for when it's raining as well. And you need to be able to get in and out of buildings and in and out of shops and be able to feel it. When it's cold over at Disney, you'll walk into a shop, the heating will be on. When it's cold at some of the parks over here, you'll walk in the shop and it feels colder somehow. And that's the infrastructure that we need to change. It breeds good and people would talk about it. So which park has the best water rides in the UK? Well, let me tell you, this is going to be quite controversial. I think it's Chessington. Hear me out. I love Valhalla when you can get on it. I like Splash Bash as well. I will do the rapids at various parks. I will not do Stormforce 10 for the reasons listed. With Chessington, for instance, you can go on Tiger Rock, cracking log flume, cracking log flume. You'll have to ignore the theme, I get that. Barrel bailout, absolute soaker. Any weather, nearly any weather, it's closed when it's really hot, but absolute soaker. I do miss Monkey Swing, I will just say Monkey Swinger was also a soaker. You've then got river rafts, an absolute soaker of a ride. And you've then got Gruffalo, which you can take at your own leisure. It can be a nice water ride or it can be a soaker. Chessington actually have a bit of everything. That's not to say some parks don't, and I don't really think we have particularly bad water rides. The worst water ride I think we had in the UK or a major theme park was Rumba Rapids, which is closed. The next one I think, oddly, is the Rapids at Drayton Manor, which I think should probably be quite close behind it. What do you think? Honestly, what do you think? I know it's going to be a little bit controversial, but it's not the case of we don't necessarily have the great water rides. It's the fact that they cost a lot of money and the return, the payment of return for your average person. I mean, imagine if they'd have built a self-enclosed log flume down on the Hyperia site with fresh, clean water and anything, would anyone realistically still be talking about that now? Now, I know they could have built a massive Intamin one. They could have built, you know, really, really cool log flumes, but people are going to be talking about Hyperia more. And that's why they did it. Is it the right stance? I'm not saying it is the right stance. I think there are some good water ride options. I think that's starting with Paulson's Park next year. But what do you think? Are you really happy? Let me know. Are you really happy to go on Stormforce 10? And it's not, I don't mean to just pick on that, because there are others, including Towers, and get absolutely covered with that lake water. Let me know in the comments.